Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are doing a bit of a mashup. We're looking at two things that usually, well, they don't really go together.
No, they don't. It's a wild combination. We're taking the biblical narrative of the Transfiguration, specifically the readings for February 24, 2026.
Right.
But we are reading it through the lens of modern psychology.
Which is such a fascinating angle because you've got this deeply mystical story about a glowing mountain on one side.
And then on the other, a very clinical analysis of how the human brain processes panic.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to uncover why these sources argue that control is actually the exact opposite of trust.
Yeah, and how this really chaotic mountain scene offers I guess you could call it a blueprint for dealing with anxiety.
So let's just set the scene first. The sources describe Jesus taking Peter, James, and John up a high mountain.
Right away, they're isolated.
Yeah, and suddenly the reality they know just completely dissolves. Jesus' face shines like the sun, his clothes become white as light.
Talk about sensory overload.
I know. And then Moses and Elijah show up. It's not just a light show, it is history coming alive right in front of them.
But the really interesting part here is Peter's reaction.
Yes, I love this detail.
Because he doesn't run, he doesn't scream, he actually offers to do construction work.
He literally says, "If you wish, I will make 3 tents here."
Which is such a weird response on paper, but the source material points out that this is actually a classic human coping mechanism.
Right, because when we face something we just cannot understand, we try to analyze it.
Yeah.
Or solve it.
Exactly. Peter is experiencing massive cognitive dissonance. The moment is way too big for him, so he tries to shrink it down.
He does something manageable.
Yeah, he thinks, well, I can't understand these glowing figures, but I can build a tent. I know how to control that.
It's basically the ancient equivalent of stress cleaning your house when your life is falling apart.
Oh, absolutely. We build a physical or mental structure around the mystery just to regain a sense of control.
But the narrative is pretty brutal here, because that attempt at control fails instantly.
It really does. While he is still talking about the tents, a bright cloud overshadows them, and a voice speaks.
"This is my beloved son, listen to him."
And that is the breaking point. The disciples just fall on their faces, absolutely terrified.
Which connects directly to the source's analysis of fear. They argue that fear spikes when we hit the absolute limit of our own strength.
Your intellectual framework just collapses. I mean, you can't build a tent around a voice from a cloud.
No, you definitely can't. And there's a stat in the notes that really stuck out to me. The phrase, "do not be afraid," appears in the Bible 365 times.
Basically once for every day of the year.
Right.
It's a comforting thought, but the sources point out a really crucial nuance here. The command isn't, don't be afraid because you're safe.
It's almost always, "don't be afraid because I am here."
Exactly. The antidote to fear isn't the removal of danger, it's the presence of God.
Which brings us to the resolution. The disciples are face down in the dirt, and they aren't talked out of their panic.
No, they are touched out of it. Jesus physically touches them and says, rise and have no fear.
It's a physical interruption of that fear spiral.
And then they have to actually go back down the mountain. The high doesn't last at all.
No, it doesn't. In fact, on the descent, they make this really dark connection. The disciples realize Elijah had already come.
In the form of John the Baptist.
Right, and he had suffered.
That is the grounding moment. The glory they just saw is intimately tied to the suffering they are about to face.
The mountain experience doesn't erase the valley, it just prepares you for it.
So if we boil all of this down, what's the big takeaway for you listening right now?
Well, the sources suggest that a life completely without fear just isn't possible. We all hit our limits.
But a life ruled by fear is optional. We don't actually need to build tents to try and control every single outcome.
We just need to trust the presence that's right there with us.
That is such a powerful shift.
It really is. So we want to leave you with a final provocation to mull over today. Where are you trying to replace trust with control?
And specifically, what area of your life, whether it's your future, your money, your identity, is making you feel stuck, face down right now?
And what would it actually look like for you to simply rise today?
That's something to think about.